good morning, and welcome to Dualitea Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and today we're talking about working with what you got, and doing the best with it, as the great Mariah had said in that little video snippet. It's funny, I want to shout out to Justin in Peaches, who had sent me that meme like a while back and was like, yo, this reminded me of you. And I'm like, you know what? I can understand why. So with that being said, I just been feeling like recently what I've been feeling into, like the season that I've been in recently has definitely been like working with what I have, right? And like, what does that look like? I feel like we're in such a consumerist world that everything has been made out to believe that we need more. Like, we need more of this, we need more of that. Like, we need more of everything else but ourselves. And I don't agree. Like, I don't agree that we need more of other things in the world than ourselves. Like, we have everything that we need majority of the time, and it's just about discovering that, right? It's just about discovering, sorry, as I adjust this mic, don't mean to be crunchy in your ears, but as much as there are different things, like different tools, different items, whether we're talking about physical items or, whether we're talking about emotional capacity or spiritual practices or, health practices, mental health practices that we can implement. These are all like super important, to learn. But at the end of the day, if you want something to apply to you, then you need to be the glue to it. And I think that it's so important to like talk about that, because it's like in a world full of a million coaches teaching us how to do a million things and all these different aspects, like it could get really saturated. And I find that the best teachers are ones that are showing you how you have the ability and the capacity to tap into whatever information they're passing along to you in your own way. And that is the best form of utilizing whatever it is. So yeah, like I've been on this really like, I get into these like moods where I get into these color spectrums and these color palettes. And I have been really into like pink, brown, and like off-white, like the Neapolitan ice cream, right? So hence the flyer. I had just made a soap, and unfortunately I don't have it with me because it's curing, but maybe next pod I'll bring it. It should be ready by next week. And when I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've been wanting to make it, so I'm like, I want to make it like brown and beige and pink. And I'm like, how am I going to go about it? And I'm like, all right, let me just like, okay, do I need to buy this? Do I need to buy that? And like, I had to buy like one item, but I didn't need to buy anything else. And I just realized, okay, like, what do I have? And I had to take inventory, because the thing is like, if we don't take inventory on what we have, then we don't know what we actually need, and or we can purchase more than what we need. So when I was making this soap, I had actually separated the base of it is organic soy milk and freeze-dried strawberries, because I wanted to make it like a strawberry milk base. And then I put new moon water from Capricorn, full moon water from Cancer from last year, so the last full moon from last year. But I wanted it to also be the bridge from last year to this year as an integration. So I also put the Leo full moon water that I had acquired from last month. So I like to make a soap at the end of the year each year, and like kind of combined either not last year, the year before, I made one that was just like the last moon, and then I had it going into the new year, but I wanted this time for it to be a little bit of last year and a little bit of this year, so it's like the relative past, but like the present also. So it's like when we're in each month, we're also, feeling and sifting through things from the last month. So yeah, I wanted this to be like an integration soap, and I feel like the color spectrum and the color blocks are very indicative of that. And yeah, so like I put that together. I put the intention in there to be like an integrative soap for self-love and to cultivate the things that we need, and when I separated it, so I have like pictures and stuff, like, and I'm going to post something. I promise you 2024 will be the year that I am not just hoarding my content, and that y'all can actually see what I do. Besides, if you a lot of people who I communicate with on a regular basis get to see a lot of things that I do, because I'm a very in-person person, and I'm just striving to be able to share the things that I do behind the scenes with you guys this year in all aspects, like whether the podcast, whether making soap, doing events, just like personal things. Like I just strive to kind of put it out there. I'm just big on like, I want it to just be organic, and I want it to be, just authentic to who I am and what I stand for. I'm not like an actress. I can't like when Showtime comes on here, like I'm not, shifting. I'm just being, so that's the reason why I can pull up like 2 minutes before Showtime and just go, because like it's just not my field. It's not that I'm greater or less than anybody else. I don't necessarily consider myself an actress. I just more so more of a speaker in general, So with that being said, embodiment, right? Like I wanted this soap to encompass embodiment. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to utilize what I got. So I had this like fair trade, dark brown cacao. I'm like, I'm going to use that for the brown. I had zinc and to make the white. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna put like, I want vanilla beans in this, because like I love vanilla, so I'll be putting vanilla beans in like everything, and it's luxury, you feel me? Because vanilla beans are not cheap, but I just really love vanilla beans, and vanilla is one of those scents that it's the essential oil or the absolute or the oleoresin is quite expensive. So to put it in certain products doesn't make sense, especially if it's gonna not show up as the scent you'd like it to be. So most people use fragrant oil, but I try to stay away from fragrant oil as much as possible, because it could be disrupting to the endocrine system and can create hormonal imbalance. So, if I'm making holistic wellness products, I want it to make you feel well. I don't want it to interfere with anything you got going on. So the thing that's cool is the white part of the soap you can see the speckles of the vanilla bean in it. So it really looks like edible. Like it really looks edible. And the reason I brought all this up was not only to tell y'all about the soap that I'm super excited about, but also to let you know about the essential oil blend. So when I was concocting, every time I'm making a product, especially like soaps, like I concoct a different like a blend of scent. And I had a bunch of little like tiny little trials of essential oils that I wanted to try out, whether it was like resins like benzoin or Peru balsam, and like different like little more expensive essential oils. And I've been holding on to them for like, I wouldn't say a full year. I think it's been like less than a year. And I'm like, what am I doing with them? Like, I need to hold on to the occasion to see like, am I going to use this? Like I'm hoarding this for like the perfect opportunity, but like, when is the perfect opportunity? And I find that a lot of us are guilty of this as humans, and like, maybe not guilty, but like, you know what I mean? Just like, do this. And we hold on to things for the perfect moment. And then like time comes and passes, and it's like, you still didn't use the thing. And then it's like, well, what am I going to use it for? And I'm looking at all of these little bottles, and I'm like, nah, fuck it. I'm going to use what I got. Like, I'm going to utilize what I have. This is going to be a luxury soap, we're going to get the best of the best. Let's just do it, you know? And I smelt each of them. I wrote down which ones I like and which ones I want to purchase in a bigger size. And so my research and development was there, you know? So the point was there. And then I got to also utilize having these different oils. So I concocted this incredible potion, this if you will, you know, this really lovely scent that came out of it that just complements already the natural ingredients inside of it that make it enhance the strawberry, the chocolate, the vanilla. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you guys. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because I know with myself, I tend to get into my head about certain things when it comes to, you know, having it for the right person, the right opportunity, the right moment. But at the same token, it's like, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And not that you should utilize absolutely everything in every moment. I've just been on this like energy of like, why am I holding on to the shampoo in the fridge, shampoo in the shower that has like 2 pumps left because it's my favorite shampoo? Like, I could just buy the shampoo again, you know? And I've also been doing just clearing house, you know, like the other day, yesterday I like used all of my shampoo. Like, in fact, I used way too much shampoo. I used way too much hair products yesterday, but you know, my hair's right. It's doing its thing. You know, I'm working with what I got. My hair is coming back to life from a year of me frying it, you know, and I'm starting to get my wavy pattern, my curly pattern back. And I love that for me because I don't want to wear a wig every day. Although I love it and I love the versatility of it, you know, especially in the warmer months, it could just be a lot. And I'm a medium maintenance girl, you know? I'm a medium maintenance girly. Like, if it's going to provide, like, sometimes slapping a wig on makes it easier for me. You know, it's like, because my hair can be very unruly and it doesn't want to do what I'm trying to make it do. And I'm just like, you know what? Especially when it's like interesting weather, if it's like humid or something, sometimes just slapping a wig on is just best bet because I know it's just going to keep form, right? But other than that, you know, it's just also I want to utilize and honor, you know, my hair in its natural space and honor myself in that way. And I feel like we can do that in so many different ways of our life, just like honoring our own natural gifts, you know, whether that's different ways that we look, whether that's different things that we have, different ways that we go about life, and just sharing that in its raw and authentic form, and just like embodying what it means to utilize your own resources. You know, a lot of times we are like hopeful or wondrous or daydreaming of like all of the things that we could have and what we would do if we did have them. And I strongly encourage everyone listening and myself, you know, to just remind yourselves of what would it look like if you just did it right now? Like, yeah, it might not be the perfect circumstances. Yeah, it might not be the setting or the exact look that you're going for. But if instead of wishing upon a star, if you start behaving like you have access to what you do, because if you have an idea, that means you have the access to the foundation of that idea, that concept, you know, you will be surprised at what that attracts and like what can call in. And, you know, it's just in a world full of like, and I'm not trying to knock manifestation because it's a very real thing, but like I'm, you know, Full Metal Alchemist, like, you know, I'm very into equivalent exchange. Like, what are you pulling from the void for nothing? Like, if you're just pulling something, and like, it's gonna take something, so you want to be able to provide in exchange. If you don't, like, the universe provides it for you. So that's why you gotta be mindful when you are doing things such as manifesting, because when you're calling things in, you know, sometimes your mind changes, sometimes you're not aware of the way you're saying it. But if you just, rather than like sitting and like, you know, writing it down a million times, or like just solely focusing on like you wanting it and then not doing like the tangible work to receive it, it could get mixy. So I strongly encourage, you know, each and every one of us, if we forgot, you know, this is a reminder to just to be, you know, to be that thing that you want. You know, you might want to, I don't know, like be a professional singer and do that for your everyday. If you walk into every open mic or you know, put yourself out there and utilize the tools that you have, like maybe you want to sing at Madison Square Garden, but if you treat that local open mic like Madison Square Garden, like that is seen and felt. I believe that showing up in your fullest is so important. Like recently I had gone to an event, shout out to SI Talent. Like the event was kind of put together in like in a short time frame, and I, instead of just like pulling up with like half of my stock or like, you know, some of the things that I offer, I still pulled up like in full decked out vending. You know, I brought everything together. I knew that I was gonna have to climb like 2 flights of stairs, and I was like, how can I pack so that I can, you know, get up there in like 1 or 2 trips, you know, and I utilized what I have. And I have an esthetician cart, you know, that when I travel for doing aesthetics, you know, I utilize, and it's like one of those like makeup esthetician carts, like suitcase type thing. And I packed all of my products in there, and I was like, this works so good. I can't believe I didn't think about this sooner. But I was over here thinking about all of the other things, or what other item I can purchase, or what I need to get me to be able to carry things, or whatever the case is. Like I was even considering borrowing my friend's like wagon thing, but like that's great for me to get from the car to there, but not up the stairs. So once again, I showed up in that way. And I feel like because I gave that embodiment of like my services in full, and I didn't like pull up half-ass or like whatever the case is, I really met so many incredible people. And if any of the new people that I had met, or just other people that I have rekindled with, like are listening to this here and now, like you're appreciated. And I had such a great evening. You know, I met such incredible people. I had such incredible conversations, and it's so beautiful to build with your community. And like when you show up, like one of the things that were like said so frequently to me was like that my display was beautiful, and I really appreciated that, because you know I was lifting heavy shit to get that up there and to do the thing, and it felt nice to be acknowledged in my hard work, you know. And because of that, I find that, you know, people feel that. So like I use that as an example because I just think it's so important. You know, sometimes we get lazy, and that's okay. Like I understand that, you know. I think that rather than correlating laziness with wanting to not do anything because of the sense of not doing anything, I find that laziness actually comes from the sense of fight or flight, when we're just like done fighting and we're flighting, and like we can't get ourselves to do things, usually because of overwhelm. And I want to also extend like the compassion to the people that are feeling lazy, to the people that are feeling like they don't have the energy to do things. I think it's really important to not beat yourself up when hearing these things of like, what does it take to like embody yourself? Like you, first things first, like, you know, you got to find your middle, and your middle looks like, you know, neutralizing your central nervous system and finding different ways to like self-soothe in healthy ways, and just get yourself in a space where you can function, you know. And it's like, if we can't function, why are we praying or manifesting on the biggest goals that we have in life? Like we need to focus on the task at hand, and that's functioning. You know, all the things that we want will come, but the first things first, we have to be able to function and do the things that we have, like, you know, conquer the challenges in front of us rather than the ones that we perceive to have when we have something. You know, it's like, I think we get too far into the future, and then we get anxious about things that are in the future that we don't even like have yet, you know. So it's just important to, once again, work with the things that you have and do your best, show up your best way. You know, like if you know that you sometimes, just think about it like when you don't have food and, you know, maybe you're low on money or you're trying to cut on costs, like, and you go into the pantry and you're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in here, but I'm gonna make this mismatched meal, and like I'm just gonna work with what I got. And like those are the meals that tend to slap the most. Like me and my friend Sam talk about it often. Like there was one time where there wasn't much in her fridge and we were so hungry, but we're like, oh, it's like 2:00 in the morning. We don't want to go to a deli. We don't want to order nothing. And like I ended up making this egg and cheese concoction. And that shit stopped. Like I still high-key think about it, you know? So you'd be surprised with what you can make, what you can formulate with your own ingredients that you have on hand, rather than, yeah, of course, like having the finest cheese or the finest, you know, ingredients for whatever it is that you're making. Or even if we're talking beyond the physical, like the best mindset, the best spiritual practice, like all of that is great, you know, to strive to obtain. You know, at a point, having a goal is so important. Simultaneously, like if your prayer is, if you want to get this spiritual cleansing, but you only got an egg, like you'd be surprised what that egg can do. You know, if you don't got nothing, you're so used to using Florida water, like, you know, and you want to like cleanse yourself off, like, but you don't got it. So you just pray to that water that's in front of you and you utilize your resources. Because I think that we get so confused that all of these things are tools, but the most important ingredient is you. The most important ingredient in anything is going to be your intention, your prayer, your words, your energy that is being brought out, you know. And I think that that's so important. Like even today, it's Wednesday the 7th, I believe, right? Yeah. And, you know, we're going to start doing Zumba every Wednesday. So if you're local, pull up. It's going to be great. Elva is an incredible, well, we're not calling it Zumba. Actually, let me rephrase that. We're not calling it Zumba. We're calling it dance and work it out, okay? And, you know, from the very first day I've ever went to Zumba's dancing class, I was in a funk. And my friend at the time was like, I'm outside. And I'm like, I'm watching Naruto. I don't care. It was 2019. I believe it was 2019. And, yeah, in like the winter. And I was like, I don't want to go. And he was like, come on, just come outside. Let's just do it. I had a big fear of dancing in front of people. And I just did it. And I just, when I was like, picked my spot in the room, like I was in the back behind literally like one of those like pillars. So I couldn't see myself in the mirror, like completely intentionally. And although it was a lot, you know, to like pick up on, never had taken a class like that, you know, at the same token, it was easy to pick up on. The hard part was mentally, you know, being afraid of being perceived, feeling like, am I going to be good enough doing this, and all that, everything in between. And I stuck with it. And by the end of the class, like I was tearing up. I was really like, I was emotional because like I was moving. I'm a firm believer that like, especially with all the introspective work that we do, we have to bring physicality into it because we must shake out what no longer resonates. Like we can mentally talk ourselves out of a loop, but if it's stored in our physical body, then, you know, we still got a little bit of work to do, in other words. So I say all that to say, you know, Elva is an incredible teacher. And like we were talking, you know, about like getting this together and restarting it in a new way. And I was just talking to her. I'm like, you know, what you do is beyond just a dance class. Like it's truly like healing. It's truly like a safe space for people to feel safe to like be in their body and move their body. And I think that that's so important because it's like, yeah, you go to a dance class, but if you don't feel safe to navigate in that class, then you're not going to get out everything that you can get out in another way, you know? So here you go. I just don't have a spoon, so I'm just going to like mix it. But word, yeah. So sorry, I was like sitting here chatting. I had the tea steeping. I want to make sure that I gave me and Kenny our tea because the routine is real and the tea is needed. So with that being said, you know, we were chatting about how we're going to, you know, well, how I can contribute, you know, also just by helping like facilitating like the support, to get it up and going again. And, she was talking to me like, oh, like I haven't done it in a little bit, feeling like a little rusty. And I'm like, girl, like you have everything you need, because like she is incredible. And if anybody, like I said, is local, I strongly recommend to pull up. Like the community is amazing. Like in the space, we're doing it at Hub. So there isn't mirrors if that's an insecurity that happens. Because I know for me, sometimes I don't want to see myself in the mirror. Like as I go along, I'm like, actually, I could look at myself in the mirror now. But, sometimes it's better to just dance without a mirror, because then you don't have to compare yourself to anybody. You could just really surrender to being in the moment and doing the movements that you need. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. That's what's going on at Hub. On Wednesdays, we're going to start this series of Wellness Wednesdays. I'm also going to be providing a meditation hour where it's going to be probably like a half hour or so. I think I might do it twice, a half hour after the dance class and then maybe a half hour or hour like midday. But keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to make the flyer for it probably today and start doing it, not next week, but the following week. And yeah, just once again, utilizing what you have, And I feel like that's really why I also want to do the class and like put that hour out there for people to just show up and utilize what they have. Like, where are you at, mentally? Like, what can we find by sitting with ourselves for 10, 20, 15 an hour? Like, what can we tap into to start utilizing our own resources, our own gifts? And like, our number one resource is our own energy. And, what that looks like. If you want to tap into your own energy, you have to understand what it looks like, what it feels like. You can't expect to just have access to things that you don't take the time to understand and get to know. That applies to people. Like, you can't just expect people or feel entitled to people just because you know them. You need to get to know them and like really spend time with them from a sincere place, and then maybe you'll have benefits from knowing them. But I don't believe that should be the intention on why you want to get to know them in the first place. And if it is, then you know what? Be transparent about that, because then that could just be a business relationship and then you can kind of cultivate from there. But I find that a lot of people don't know how to communicate as well. And they're also maybe not clear on their own intentions. So they kind of like swoop into an area because they want to utilize someone or something. They don't know how to communicate it because they feel if they communicate it that they might be perceived in a certain light. And therefore, it's like this coding of like manipulation, this undertone of like having an incentive, and then that can provide like not authentic relations, which can falter, So I think it's so important to just pull up transparently in whatever space that you're in for whatever reason you're there. Like, when you go into a space and why you're there, there is nothing that is like more like it's palpable in a good way, and then this on the flip side, if you enter a space and you don't know why you're there, it's also palpable in more of an uncomfortable way, because it's like you don't know why you're there and people are looking at you not knowing why you're there, because they look at you and they're like, oh, like, why is this person even here? And it's like you're emanating that, you're emanating, I don't know why I'm here. It's okay to show up places and to try things. I'm not trying to hinder anyone from that natural process. Simultaneously, if you can find a reason to be grounded, to do something, to walk into a space, to talk about something, you will innately have more confidence. And you don't get the confidence by thinking about it. You get the confidence about understanding and doing, and just showing up. Like, you might have an inclination like, well, I'm here because it doesn't have to be like, well, I'm here because this is my life's purpose. Like, no, it could be like, well, I'm here because I felt moved to speak about something. Sometimes I pull up with a podcast and I don't necessarily know what I'm going to talk about. That's probably like 90% of the podcast. Like, I'll give like a little, like, I have an understanding of why I feel moved to talk. But I don't, write down really prompts anymore. Or even when I did, I didn't really look at them. And like, even when I try to plan for these episodes, I truly believe that spirit guides me in another way, and you got to surrender to things not going to plan. Like, just because things didn't go the way that you expected them to, doesn't mean they're any less than. Doesn't mean that they're not what they're meant to be. I'm sure they're exactly what they're meant to be. You know, all we have to do as people is pull up and do the best with what we got. You know, like I wear many hats. And one of the random things that I do is I have a Chase Paw Patrol outfit. It's like a mascot outfit. It's like the whole thing, like the big head, like the one that you see, like that you would hire for a birthday party. I had purchased this outfit like years ago because the baby boy that I used to babysit was like obsessed with Chase, and his birthday was coming up. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, me and his parents were talking about, like, I think they had mentioned that they might like hire somebody. And then we were talking about how you never know who are in these costumes. Like, you don't know these people. And like, especially when it comes to kids, like, you want to make sure safe people are around your kids. So like, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I could like find, you know, a costume or whatever. And I found one for like a relatively okay price. Like, it was still very expensive, but I was like, you know what? Like, he was so obsessed with him. Like, he's going to love it. Like, I don't care. Like, the money will come back. I'm not concerned. And unfortunately, you know, I didn't get to like provide that, which is a whole other story, which is actually, you know, if you want to understand and unpack that, you know, you go back in episodes and I might briefly talk about certain things without like, you know, just the experience of different times. But yeah, so I just had this costume sitting. You know, I've used it, you know, a few times for like my niece's parties when they got into Paw Patrol and whatever the case was, and for my friend's son also. Like, I pulled up not too long ago because he's into Paw Patrol. And I haven't like put it out there, but a friend of mine, I just like recently put on my story, like, you know, if anybody wants me to like pull up for an hour, half hour, you know, to take pictures with the kids and like dance around, like, just like let me know. And my good friend, her niece was having a third birthday party and it was Paw Patrol. So I pulled up in the Paw Patrol fit, and it was really cute. Like, the kids are just so funny. They were so excited. They were like breakdancing for me, like taking pictures, give me high fives. We're all dancing, have a dance party. And after, like, I changed out of the costume, and, you know, I literally, like, I did my best, right? Because last time I wore the costume, like, you see out of the mouth, so you could see my eyes. And I was like, okay, let me get one of those like screen mask things, because once again, doing the best with what I have. Sometimes what you have is what you know, right? So I was like, good morning, Kim. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to take the mask out. I'll just get it. It's like probably like $5. And, you know, I cut a hole out the mouth. I cut a hole in the nose. So like you just see this. And it worked. You know, it was hard to see, but I did the best with what I had. I left after, you know, a little while with the kids, and I got into my regular clothes, and I came into her family party to eat, which the food was amazing. And everyone's like, oh, thank you so much. And I was like, yeah. And the thing I just kept saying was like, I did my best with what I had, what I knew, you know. And and everyone's like, no, you did a great job. And I'm like, you know, I could feel confident in saying that I did my best, because I really did. And that's the best way I feel like we can go about life and different experiences, especially newer experiences. Like, all you can do is your best. And the only person who knows what your best is you. You know, like, you're the one who's going to like beat yourself up if you show up and you like half-ass something. But sometimes half-assing is still the best that you can do, because you might not have the emotional bandwidth, the mental capacity, the physical ability, you know, the spiritual ability to be able to provide what you're trying to do. And, you know, sometimes we struggle with boundaries and understanding our own needs. So there's grace for that. You know, by no means when I say like show up and do your best, do I mean be perfect. Be imperfect and be okay with that imperfection. And embrace and move through it, because that is the only way you'll grow. That's the only way you'll get closer to what you're trying to do, is giving yourself space to fuck up, make mistakes, look stupid. Like, life is a joke in a big way. it's okay to be laughed at. You know, if you live through life trying to actively avoid being laughed at, you know, it's gonna fucking hurt when you do get laughed at. So, I mean, giggle a little, you know, surrender to things not having to be serious all the time. And allow yourself the grace to learn. Learn through your experiences by sitting with the different feelings that they bring up in you. You don't need to figure everything out simultaneously. Don't miss what's being presented to you because you're afraid to touch what is unknown or less desirable. So yeah, I think that's what I got for y'all today. But I am going to pull a card or two. And I do also, I felt moved to bring this book that I haven't opened up in like quite some time. So I'm going to start with that. Also, just feeling called to like say a reminder of like, let yourself be MacGyver when it comes to things. Like there's so much room for you to just like makeshift shit, you know, and there's this ability to like, you know, when we have all these tools to do different things, like such as like, you know, I have the bowls that I use for to emanate different vibrations and things of that sort. Like if I don't have a bowl, like I can still emanate a vibration by going like or doing like an om, like a ram, a vam, like a you know, to sing a song, right? And to emanate a vibration, to just release. Sometimes we just need to release shit. Sometimes that's gonna sound like a growl. Sometimes that's gonna sound like I don't know, like a high pitched squeak, you know? I think it's important to allow ourselves to be the tool that we're so like the tools we have are reflections of what we have inside of us. And never forget that. Like always remember that you are the number one thing. Like you are the tool, you are the conduit, like you are the thing that makes things magic. You know, like I love tea. Tea is magical. Tea can't do much on my shelf in a jar if I don't grab it, put my love and intention into it, and pour water into it. Water is absolutely magical, but I can't absorb that magic if I don't pick it up and drink it. Given, you know, my brain wants to challenge me and is like, well, if it's hot and it's steam, then it could still be absorbed, or if it's in the room, then it could still be absorbed, which is factual. You know what I mean? But like if I walk out of the room, I can't absorb it, right? So lean into it, you know, lean into your ability to make things magical by incorporating it, by collaborating with it. You're collaborating with everything you touch in life. Every word you speak or person you interact with, you're collaborating with in one way or another. Like I'm collaborating with this mic just as much as I'm collaborating with this camera, with you guys listening, with my, you know, the items on the table, with Kenny over there, with, you know, the hub as a whole. Like everything is being interacted with. So like put respect on your name for that, because you're making shit happen. It's not just happening. It's not just happening all around you. Like you are a part of that. You are a co-creator. You are a collaborator. You know, when it comes to like, you know, faith, whether you call, you know, creator, God, spirit, the universe, Allah, like whatever you call spirit or the higher creator, we co-create with creator. You know, it's like creator provides and has provided and continues to provide in all of these macro and micro ways, and we respond and react, therefore we are collaborating. So think about that, you know. So this is A Course of Miracles. David, an elder to me, had told me about this book, and I still never got the big book, which eventually I will. I think I've borrowed it from the library once, but I don't physically have it. But I have this one. It says Volume 3, Manual for Teachers. I forgot how I got this, but it says The Foundation for Inner Peace. So let's just open up to whatever page you were meant to read from today. Okay. What is the peace of God? It has been said that there is a kind of peace that is not found in this world. How is it recognized? How is it found? And being found, how can it be retained? Let us consider each of these questions separately, for each reflects in a different step along the way. First, how can the peace of God be recognized? God's peace is recognized at first by just one thing. In every way, it is totally unlike the previous experience. It calls to mind nothing that went before it. It brings with it no past associations. It is a new thing entirely. There is a contrast, yes, between this thing and all past, but strangely, it is not a contrast of true differences. The past just slips away, and it is not a the past just slips away, and it in its place is the everlasting quiet. Only that the contrast first perceived has merely gone. Quiet has reached to cover everything. How is quiet found? No one can fail to find it, but who seeks it out in its conditions? God's peace can never come where anger is, for anger must deny that peace exists. Who sees anger as justified in any way or any circumstances proclaims that peace is meaningless, and that it must believe that it cannot exist. In this condition, peace cannot be found. Therefore, forgiveness is necessary condition for finding the peace of God. More than this, given forgiveness, there must be peace. For what except attack will lead to war? And what peace is opposite to war? Here the initial contrast stands out, clear and apparent. Yet when peace is found, the war is meaningless. And it was a conflict now that is perceived as a non-existent and unreal. How is the peace of God retained once it's found? Returning anger in whatever form will drop a heavy curtain once again. The belief that peace cannot exist will certainly return. War is again accepted as the one reality. Now must you once lay down your sword, although you do not recognize that you have picked it up again. But you will learn as you remember, even faintly, now that happiness was yours without it, that you must have taken it again as your defense. Stop for a moment now and think of this. Is conflict what you want, or is God's peace the better choice? Which gives you more? A tranquil mind is not a little gift. Would you not rather live than choose to die? Living is joy, but death can only weep. You see death escape from what you made, but this you do not see. That you made death, but it is an illusion of an end. Death cannot be escape because it is not life in which the problem lies. Life has no opposite, for it is God. Life and death seems to be opposite because you decided death ends life. Forgive the world. Let me read that sentence again. Life and death seem opposite because you have decided that death ends life. Forgive the world and you will understand that everything that God created cannot have an end, and nothing he did not create is real. In this one sentence, our course explains. In this one sentence, it is our practicing given to one direction. And this one sentence is the Holy Spirit's whole curriculum specified exactly as it is. What is the peace of God? No more of this, the simple understanding that his will is wholly without opposite. There is no thought that contradicts his will yet can be true. The contrast with his will can and yours but seem to be reality. In the truth, there is no conflict. His will is yours. Now is the mighty will of God himself, his gift to you. He does not seek to help to keep it for himself. Why would you seek to keep your tiny, frail imaginations apart from him? the will of God is one and all there is. There is your heritage, the universe beyond the sun and the stars. All of the thoughts which you can conceive belong to you. God's peace is the condition for his will. Attain his peace and you'll remember him. Well, that was more religious than I had anticipated. So, which is fine. If anybody feels uncomfortable with the word God, feel free to shift that to universe or creator, whatever feels right for you. What I kind of feel for that is, it's interesting because every time I get books involved, they kind of like reflect back what we're talking about. And it's interesting because there's like, what is justice? Like everything surrounding that in this book is a little bit different pace. But essentially what I gather from that question and that answer in this book is like, what is the piece of like creation? What is the piece of what is? Why are we trying to put different definitions on things and instead of accepting them as what they are? Because it's like a sense of control and conforming reality, maybe not for the best benefit. So what I take back from this passage is essentially like, when, how people say like, let go and let God, like let go and allow, let go and let God, or let go and allow space for things to present themselves as they are. And also paying attention to, like this is something that I've learned in my studies when people say like, how can you tell the difference between your mental chatter and, spirit speaking through you? And it's like mental chatter tends to have this like, oh, well, I opened up the door. And when I opened up the door, I was thinking about this. And when I thought about that, I was like this. And then I think about the brrr, and it's like, brrr, right? It's mental chatter. But like when God is speaking through you or creator speaking through you, and when spirit is present, it's very like, open up the door. And you're just like, you might in your head be like, why? But then like the energy that it meets you is just like, open up the door. You're safe to open up the door. Open it. And like in your head, you might be like, why? Like, why? But like that energy, it's just very like, instead of being like, if that makes sense, So yeah, take with what resonates and leave behind what does not. And yeah, thank you for being present with me. So next week is Valentine's Day. I'm going to also, let me plug this event in. I'm going to be at Tiger Lily vending. So pull up to Tiger Lily, get yourself a tattoo or some awesome items, The soap will be there. My embodiment baddie candles will be there as well. And it's going to be a fun time. Definitely pull up. So I won't be here because I'll be there. And then I have a really, really, really awesome podcast coming to you the following week with a very special guest I'm excited to have on. So keep your eyes open for that. And yeah, I want to encourage everybody who, if Valentine's Day brings up, weird or like uneasy emotions, I also just want to remind you of like what we just read, and in assigning things, like just allowing things to show up as they are and not trying to put definition to them. Half of these holidays are, I don't even get me started with like what holidays actually are, but like to be light about it. They're man-made constructs, right? So it's like it's up to you to lean into what society is like feeding you. So if you don't want to, then don't consume it. Maybe don't be on social media or don't, you don't have to actively avoid things, but, let things pass through you. And if you find yourself either alone or, if you can't be with your partner or whatever the case is, or if you're with your partner, but it's less than desirable, as this day of love, comes up, I invite you to allow yourself to present whatever it is that you need in that day. even if you have a great partner and you're like going to do it, like still give yourself something. Like I encourage you to show up in a self-loving way without trying to figure it out, but allow it to be organic, whether that's taking yourself out on a date, whether that's getting yourself a deli sandwich and sitting by the ocean or going to the spa, or like doing nothing, or sitting in bed and watching Griselda, or like whatever it is, allow yourself to lean into what it is that you feel, how you want to honor yourself and your representation of love for you. Feel free to do that any day as well. But I just want to also give space to, this day that makes millions off of our emotions, right? So for anyone who is interested in having a reading here and now, you're welcome to stay. If you're not, that's okay. I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. I pray in a good way to pull cards on the immediate energy of right now, whether that right now is at another time and space, may transcend that, and may just honor wherever that we're at, meaning I and the people that are listening to this in a good way, acknowledging our duality and our spirit. And, I ask for a concise, quick, and honorable message for what we need to hear in this moment and what can support us here in this moment. Oh. Oh, what herb can be supportive at this time? Okay. So what came up for us is getting out of our head and into our body, right? That could mean coming to a dance class. That could mean shaking your body out. That could mean doing a stretch, going to the gym, get whatever it is that you need to do to get out of your head and into your body. If you believe in the energetics of how things correlate with our emotions and manifest in our physical being, pro tip, try to find things that help you to not overthink and to get into your body. Because if you care, if your physical appearance and or your hair resonate, with you, most overthinkers tend to lose their hair earlier and or have hair issues, when we're in our head, right? Like that's to my understanding of what shows up, so if that's coming up for you, I just feel the need to mention that. So if whoever, that message is for, I believe that you can pretty much reverse anything. Alchemy is a real thing. It's just what are you sacrificing for it, and is it worth it, right? And is it better for the collective and not only yourself? Is what I feel shows up in that way. But yeah, if you're noticing a little hair thinning or hair coming out or patches or different things centering your hair, ask yourself, have you been overthinking? Have you been in your head too much? How can you get more into your body? And finding just different ways to do that. One of this drawing right here is very significant. It says, sometimes it feels better to be confused. Ask yourself, are you just done being confused? Because sometimes it feels better to be confused than to accept the reality that's presented in front of us. Sometimes that's because the reality in front of us is pushing us into fight or flight more than we'd like it to. And a lot of times that's exactly where the medicine is to get out. Whether that's an undesirable relationship, partnership, friendship, business, whatever it is, whatever is causing that turmoil, and when you're whatever you're confused about, ask yourself, what do you need to get clear? And really ask yourself if you're allowing yourself to stay confused because you're using that as a space to idle because you don't want to make a decision because you're afraid of what the decision, like what the reaction from the decision will be. So really ask yourself that, when you have the space. A plant ally, an herb that can be beneficial to everybody who does not have an allergy and or gluten, right? Oat. Oat in general. So this is these are the benefits for it. It says oat, which is Avena sativa. The active elements are a bunch of different things I'm not going to read at this moment because there's a lot of big words. I'm going to butcher them. Field of oats swaying in the summer breeze are a common sight through North Europe. It is an annual cereal crop growing up to 1 meter, which is 3.25 feet. With narrow, straight leaf blades on the swollen nodes of this sheath of the thin, hollow, unbranched stem, spikelets hang down at the end of the flowering. The Greeks consider oatweed and used it as horse fodder. The Romans seem to have been the first to use it as a cereal crop to any significant extent. The benefits. Oat can be eaten in flakes, flour, or whole grains. Restoratively nutritious, they are ideal for children and the elderly, and convalescents, and the elderly. High mineral content. Silica, iron, manganese, zinc are perfect for the mineral deficiencies to recover from illness. It reduces cholesterol, so it's beneficial to prevent the cardiovascular disease. Bran and oat flakes help digestion and relieve constipation. For the external use, emollient oat bath, soft, dry, atopic, irritated, itchy skin, and will relieve rheumatism and counter insomnia. Methods. Internal, make a decoction, 20 grams, oatmeal per liter, quart of water. Refresh, diuretic, slightly laxative, also soothing infusion for coughs. External. Poultice, a treat that treat aches, pains, backache, rib pains, and dry roast the oats. Wrap them in a soft cloth and apply while still hot to the painful area. You can also boil the oats in wine and vinegar to make a poultice, and that can be applied as hot as possible. So you can also use them. There's milky oats that can also be used as in teas. There's oak straw that you can also use, and there's also the milky oats, like the tops of the oats, that you can also use as a tea as well. And there's so many ways. Like you have oatmeal. What I will say is do your best to source. If you can find like farmers markets, local oats, things of that sort, or the best, just that you can possibly get. Whatever you can obtain. Organic if possible, locally sourced is even better. And if that resonates, then utilize that. If it doesn't, then don't, you know what you need more than I do, right? I'm just here reading what's here. So thank y'all for tuning in. I now close this reading, and for anybody that was listening, for any of the energies to be returned in the spaces that they are meant to in a good way like that, I say thank you for all the guidance and for all the support and love from everybody that has been present throughout this entire episode. I love and appreciate y'all. For real. I'll see you not next week, but the week after, unless I see you in person. Take care.